You're listening to Authentically You, a podcast about the threads that connect us to ourselves, to others, and to the world around us. I'm Alfina Luck, actor, producer, and mentor. After more than 20 years both on camera and behind the scenes, I'm on a mission to help 1 million people learn to fall in love with being seen and heard on camera, in life, and in all our relations. To be witnessed on your journey is to weave your evolution into the greater human story. Through stories, reflections, and raw conversations, we'll explore confidence, creativity, and the inner healing work that allows us to show up as our true selves. This is our space to embrace presence, connection, and the power of being authentically you. Hi, and welcome back to Authentically You. Today, I want to talk about the pressure of wearing an identity. And I'm going to really dig into what this means because in a recent healing session, I was brought back to a moment in my childhood. And for the respect of privacy for this person, I will not be naming any names, but there was an experience that I encountered where the person I was with at the time was going through a really tumultuous period in their lives. And they had threatened suicide in the time that I was with them. And when that happened, and if you've ever been in the presence of someone who is unregulated and really disconnected from themselves and, hurting themselves, it's really terrifying. And in that moment, to do what I could for this person, it's really survival mode, right? Like, how can I let this person harm themselves? I have to jump in to save them, help them, to love them, to care for them, to talk to them, talk them out of this state that they're in. But what happens to us in that moment when we are taking care of this other person? Something happens to ourselves. And what happened to me in that moment is I jumped into the role of the savior, the hero. It's not the hero or savior in a complimentary way at all. It is in the fact that it is my job, or it was my job at that moment, to do everything I could to save this person. And by stepping into that role, this became a part of my identity, that this now is my duty. This is my obligation. This is my role. And so we moved out of that specific scenario, but when it resurfaced again at a later time, the inner child in me did not want to step up for that occasion because it was terrifying. And the trauma that was created, which was unrepaired from the first experience, was triggered. And no doubt I did not want to jump on an airplane and fly to deal with this person in that state again because it was terrifying. But the part of me that identified with the hero, the savior from the first experience said, okay, it's time to step into your role, step into the shoes, put on the armor, put on the gear. It's time to go. You're the only one that can do this. And that was also told to me by someone else because I was the only person who could go at the time, who could actually physically get on a plane and go. So there I had to assume this role, even though inside I was terrified. And so how does this transpire into shaping who I became as I continued to grow up? I continued to say yes when I saw people who were suffering because I believed that I am the only one who's capable of helping them. Even if it meant sacrificing my own well-being, it didn't matter what I was feeling. It didn't matter what I was thinking. It didn't matter where I was in my life. This was my duty. And so it became second nature for me to step in, to help, to assist, to please, in order to not feel the inadequacy of not being able to help someone. And it all boils down to that moment. If I do not do this, this person could seriously hurt themselves and it would be on me. The amount of pressure that thought creates in a child, no less, can be debilitating. And so, yes, it has shaped who I am over time to the point where I continue to self-sacrifice myself, my well-being, the ones around me, to make sure that I was always watching out for someone else's well-being, making sure that they're not going to be dysregulated, that if they are, I will step in, to the point where I started wearing this role as a badge. I became proud to play this role. It's on me. I'm the only one. No, I can do it. I can do this. Let me handle it. That became my mindset, to the point where I kept saying yes, kept saying yes, kept saying yes, kept saying yes, did not recognize my self-sacrifice. And if you can picture someone stacking on weight on their shoulders over and over again, not relieving anything prior, to the point where what would this do to someone? And it happened to me. I literally broke my back, physically broke my back. In a CT scan, my vertebrae was broken. It was fragmented. Now, I didn't get crushed by the weight of anything in particular. The accident I speak of was when I got thrown off a horse, which I've shared this story with you guys before. And in the moment of that traumatic experience, which kind of propelled me into starting this journey with you here, I knew that there was something more meaningful in that experience. I always see that. I always look for it. And it's been almost 2 years since that accident. And I've shared many experiences of what that was like, how traumatic it was moving through it. But it wasn't until recently I really, really saw the depth and symbolism of what that represented. Breaking my back. Never broken a bone in my body in my life. And the first bone I break is my back. And what does that represent? Remember earlier I was saying, imagine a person just taking on weight on the shoulders, and it just, the pressure, the weight just pushes them lower and lower and lower to the ground because they can't sustain it, to the point where something has to break. And for me, it was my back. It was absolutely, undeniably symbolic to this identity that I was wearing and carrying for most of my life. And what did that do? It forced me to stop. You can't keep going. When you break your back, you can try, but you cannot keep going. Although I beg to differ, old patterns die hard. The identity pattern, I said yes to going back to work. I was working on a show at the time called The Good Doctor, and they asked me to go back to work. And so I did, with a broken back. Connecting the dots here. That identity of, yes, I'm capable. I can do this. I'm good. I got this. Was I okay? I was not okay. After I went home, I crashed. I went on disability. I took a year off because I literally could not move. I just pushed myself so hard. Even after breaking my back, that pattern, that identity that I was carrying and wearing around still persevered. And now forcing myself to go the other way, to slow down, to not say yes, to not keep taking the responsibility for someone else's inability to make good choices, or not process their trauma, or not look in the mirror and do the work to repair the lived experiences that created for them their own lived trauma. It's not my responsibility. So I'm absolving myself from the responsibility of wearing the badge of needing to be the hero, the savior, the one that fixes the problems, because I finally recognize how much fixing everyone else's problems has hurt me in the process. So severely that I was not able to take care of myself or my family. And I vow to myself to never let that happen again. And so this conversation brings to light the question to ask ourselves is, what identity could I be wearing that is actually not suited for me, that was placed upon me by someone else's needs or expectations, and not to their fault, right? It's not that they wanted this for me, but through their own traumas and experiences, this was placed on me. And now I have the ability to repair that part of me and return to that younger version of me to let her know that you do not need to wear this identity. You are not the savior. You are not the hero. It is not your job to save anyone. It is your job to take care of yourself. It is your job to show up for yourself. It is your job to protect yourself. And so these are the skills that I was never given or taught. And so now I have the ability to see clearly and to return to those parts of me where I can provide that safety, that wisdom, that knowledge to support the journey, because we are going to face traumas. We are going to have negative experiences. We can't avoid that. But having the right tools and guidance and support to navigate through it so that we come out on the other side not traumatized, that is important. That is my goal for myself in this journey and with everything that I do. And so if this brings up anything for you in terms of, anything that doesn't feel completely aligned, the question to ask is this yours, or was it placed on you from someone else, by an experience, by a memory? And from there, we can then go deeper and explore and provide the loving, healing space to repair those traumas. Until the next one. Thank you for listening to Authentically You. Join our community where honest conversations flow in real time. By listening today, you are one of a million, on a mission and movement to grow in self-trust, be effortlessly confident on camera and in life. Because confidence isn't a performance, it's a practice of self-love. Be seen, be heard, be authentically you.